Hello, everyone. Hey, Cass here. I got a few people asking me how do I actually make my sets, and I thought let's just quickly go through set I played yesterday for the Sublime Sundays, and I will skip over the easy bits. I mean, you all know how to do your crate digging, where to get your tunes, and all that. And obviously, I roughly know what BPM I'm in, but I use a record box to just analyze all my tunes so I can quickly, if like yesterday, some other DJ next to me in the rate train goes, can you play few extra tunes? I can quickly drag a few that are roughly in the same BPM, of course. And but let me just I'll try to make this quick, but it's quite complex, but I'll try to explain as much as I can, so bear with me. If I'm correct, all the audio is working. Let me see. So we got Ableton. Wait, I can hear myself. That's a bit difficult. Okay. So I basically just start off with first tune, always make a little loop. Now with audio. So basically, what I do is I lay down first track, first intro of whatever the song is your first one. You just make a little loop, and this is most of the time just looping for the starting soon. But I don't really like to fall to the floor, so I always lay down some extra kicks, etc. Well, there's a cowbell. Gives a little bit more rhythm and some extra kicks. See, that's working already. Then I lay down some extra instruments. That's this one. It's just a synth that it's got a rhythmic synth. I'll explain later how to do that, but some extra weird sounds. Flutters, as I call them. And so there you got your basics. Now, the trick here is the instruments that I use, like these, they are not in the bass note of the tune. They are on the fifth, and the reason for that is that you can keep them the same the whole tune. If you go on the bass note of the tune, you have to switch this note while you're playing. So I always try to find okay, this one is roughly in, what is it, A? I think so. Oh, Fis. So it's in a Fis, and basically I know that the rest of my set is roughly similar around that note. I have to switch it sometimes during stream, and that's always good fun. But okay, so when you get then, let me just turn the loop off and everything on. Now this is not much different than any other DJ, except for you got all these extra thingies. You can work with them. Of course, the tune comes in here. We all know how that works. So solo, these would go. But I find that boring. So, what I do a lot of the times, let's solo these two out. This is the first tune of the set, so it starts just with the beat as it does. But I normally try to find this bit. So. Because this bit, you can easily use for any transition. I can loop this bit forever and ever onto the next tune, right? And I can do that live, I can do that pre-made a little bit, depends on what we're doing. Now, I like this, so what I did to give it some extra oomph, I lay it down. Let's solo that. I lay it down these orchestras. And yes, when you do orchestras, you do have to pre-compose them. So you make that before going live. So they sound like this. Fairly simple, fairly straightforward. This is the whole orchestra. Let me show you. I don't know if you can actually see that, but this is a whole orchestra set up with cellos, violas, horns, harps, percussions, basses, flutes, whatever you want. Just lay that down. And I always lay down an extra piano as well. It wasn't needed in this case because this one already had piano in it. So if we just put the original track back on. Gives that extra little. Now, if you put everything on, it sounds like this. Now, the good thing about that is when you put the second track in this case I made it really easy for myself. I just basically did like a long fade in, fade out, fade in, as you can see right here, and that basically I do live. You can actually see here it's on infinite octave, or in other words it's off. Let's turn it on. This one's as well. Ooh, yeah, okay, so this is because I played this set yesterday. So I changed the volumes of the different layers the whole time, of course. You want to have that little extra kick in, or you want to have an extra piano kind of thing in, you can put it in. But they basically, those main things, especially the beats and the stutters and fluffers and all flutters, not fluffers, flutters, all of them go over the whole set first. I just copy paste that in an endless loop for 2 hours, so I can drag in whatever next tune, and it will still, and that's the good thing. So this whole beat and flutter things, they are the glue. So you will not fully notice where you go into the next tune. Let me show you what that sounds like. So you can obviously see dragged in this guitarra, sacconi, because all the rest you still can't have a song going. This is basically just my song. Important thing what you got to know here is now we're basically having 2 tracks playing at the same time. That's why both of my channels, or basically all my channels, are on -4. Otherwise you get clipping because they just double stack, right? You got 0 dB plus 0 dB. But on the master, obviously I've got my visual, so I can actually see what's going on, but I also got like a master compressor that is set to -4 and corrects back to 0, so that glues the sound together as well. So now that you got this basic mix and you got all these basic building blocks, basically, I forgot to color code them because it was too fast, but I can just copy paste those building blocks. You see, these are all the strings, these are all the beats, and you won't really hear where the one goes to another. Now, what is really, that's difficult working with the latency on my headphones with the microphone. Anyway, what obviously is really important, because you use, look, the rhythm sections that I do, the beats and the hi-hats that I lay down, you can just use them on all tracks as long as you're stuck in the right BPM. And it doesn't really matter, I can change my main BPM in the top left, and it will just automatically sync on what I do, as long as your tracks are have a fixed BPM. Anyway, so the only problem is when you start working with things that actually have notes, like the orchestra or the flutters, then you got to make sure that both tunes are in the same key. And that I literally do manually. So the first one I already set to -3, that's -3 notes. I think the whole tune is like that, not sure. Because then the second tune, I put on one note down, -1, so that they blend in perfectly together, and that they're both on that same feast note that we talked about. Now, then, of course, what you can do, what you can see here, is start cut and paste, and that's what I do live most of the time. Just cut and paste stuff. I really like this bit. It's got some tension, right? This bit on solo goes like. Now that, like I said, you do that live while playing, because that sounds like a proper build-up. But it wasn't long enough, in my opinion, and it's a brilliant spot to use. So let's just loop this bit, or let's take the bit before that, the breakdown bit. So that bit goes. See, so you basically got this bit, huh? Now, I like that. Like you see, I can just cut this, cut and paste.
Love is the center of everything.
But I want to build up towards the bridge. So that's where these two orchestras come in. And then I did my signature thing here, which is my piano. I will show you what I did there. And that piano is basically building up the whole bridge towards the second part of the song. So that, with the orchestra sounds.
Love is the center of everything. If we don't have love, we have nothing. That's why today
problem here because you make this quickly when streaming. A lot of the times, I don't even know whether the sound is already in the song or that I made it. So that's a bit confusing sometimes. Well, yeah, that's playing, eh? So let's go back to this bit. And then I'll show you what I do with the piano. Lovely colours, by the way. Normally colour coding, obviously, is really important for this. There we go. So one of my signature sounds is this piano lick. I use that a lot. So and what you can do with that, you can double it. So the second one goes, and the third one goes. And then it even goes up higher, one notch, as you can see here. So you really got 3 notes on top of each other. And of course, I use stereo for these. So one piano is a little bit on the left, and the other one is a little bit on the right, and the center one. So if we combine these things, so we got the orchestra, we got the pianos, and we kind of created that bridge, right? So everything at the same time goes like this. And wait until you hear the pianos come in. You'll recognize them now. Sorry, I see now that the beats are a little bit low. These 3. See, and that what I do, as you can hear, obviously this breaks down the just the 4 to the floor. So you hear the difference like this. So yeah, if you combine all of that with that piano, but let's do all now again, you can hear what I'm doing. There's one thing that's important. If you keep building like this, it'll become a mess, of course. Like so many instruments on top of each other. So that's what I do a lot. Is then make a little break, and most of the time just get all the pianos and orchestras because they are quite warm and everything. But we also just like to go back to. Right, so a little gap, and again, this is what you see me doing on stream. You see me just selecting bits and delete delete this bit or just duplicate, and you color code so I can actually see where my duplication is. Right, that will go a bit weird now, but yeah, you can do that basically. Yeah, so that's the second chord and the duplication, so you can easily spot when you're scrolling through a set, because normally when you make a song, this will be just 2 minutes or anything, but it will end up being over 2 hours. So you need to be quick. Like you can see actually, if I zoom out, you can see easily by the color coding where my cuts are. And then live I can just easily duplicate, duplicate. Well, I'm going to change it back, but then just as an example, this is what you get. Well, let's just push this here, so we got like, now you know what, let's just yes. Oh, that's quite cool. Let's just go for it. Okay, so here we go. Everything together. Yeah. Well, and so on and so forth, but I'm not sure if I did it in this app, because what I normally do, like I said, as you can see in the wave of, let's make this green, which you can see, of course, you've got your intros, and especially when it comes to house music, look at the repetition there, that's boring, but you use them, of course, for your crossfade. But like I said, normally I work with this bit, so put down another layer. Let's just put it here. Let's just solder that out. This because we just made it, but this is what it's. Oh, was my microphone off? Oh, I was just saying, if you cut that middle bit, you cut that little bridge. I always cut the bridges. As you can see in all those tunes, you got the straight, beat intro, then you got a little bridge build up, and then you got straight outro. You see? Boom, same. Boom, 1, 2 of them. You can use them. And especially when they have like a rhythmic kind of repetitive, like you can just use that way before the tune actually comes in. So let's see how this works. So I took that little bridge, I put it here, and shoved the rest of this song to the right. So you get a little weird A-B mix, but because of the layering that we got, you won't fully notice because it looks like the beat's still going or anything like that. Well, let's hear. Like I said, I just did this on sight, not by hearing. So let's see what we just created. Well, let's start here. but that's part of it. Normally I just do it by ear, obviously, but what I tried to say is that you can just use those breakdowns. Actually, it's also quite easy to use. Let's say we solo this. So then you use this instead of that intro. Well, let's keep the intro there. We'll put it here. This you can use as a loop on top of the previous one. And that's why it's important to have them not just beat matched, but be sure that they're in the right note. So this one is my bass note now, so it's on 0, but this one's still -1. And because they're all, I can basically just take this intro, whatever it was, I can easily or use whatever bit. Yeah, this one would work there as well. Let me try that actually. So another track in there. So let's see if these two work. So that's tune number 3, number 1, and number 2, right? So let's solo this. Number 1. Doesn't really work. You get the gist. There you go. So, of course, in this case it doesn't fully work, but you get the gist of it. And one of the funny things is what you can do, especially when you got like a good loop, something small. I didn't really use it in this set. Normally I use it way more, little kind of thingies. Did I use it? No. All kinds of other weird stuff. But especially when you got like AARs, then you can just. The funny thing is, you have got this little bit, like a little loopy thingy, or you can actually if you just make something like that. So you make it into a stutter kind of thingy. Right, there's actually an easier trick for this, but never mind. It's just a quick tutorial. So this. We have that, so you can basically use that everywhere. Now, the funny thing about that is, if I use this, well, let's just say I'll use this all the way in the beginning. So here we go. So doesn't want to copy paste. What's going on? Copy. And this is what you see me doing during live sets as well the whole time, screaming, scrolling through the whole thing. So now, like, you can use that. Of course, this is not good enough, but you can use that from here. Let's say you make this into your intro. You will not notice that actually 10 minutes later, it will come back in again. right? So you basically sample all the tracks into one massive mix. Yeah, I'll put some effects on there, of course. Let's do an auto filter. So we automate that, but this is what I do during stream most of the time. So you just automate that. Is it the right one? Ooh, oh no. There you go. That's the right one. So and this is also what you see me doing during stream a lot of the time. Just adding all those weird. Right. So I think that's quite simple and solid on how I make my my sets. Oh, did stop recording. Nice.